Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast, IELTS Vocabulary Listening Practice topic name is 30 plus IELTS Vocabulary Advanced Words, Part 06. We are diving deep into language today, and our mission isn't just about memorizing lists, not at all. This deep dive is really about exploring advanced linguistic tools. We've got over 30 powerful terms here, and understanding the leverage they give us. We want to help you move beyond maybe using general filler words and instead employ that perfect, precise term, the one that makes communication, well, not just clear, but genuinely engaging, highly nuanced for anyone listening or reading.
Exactly. That ability to choose the right word, the most fitting one, that's really the hallmark of advanced communication, isn't it? We often talk about how building a robust vocabulary does much more than just boost test scores. It actually refines your cognitive process, how you think. So, as we analyze these terms today, we're going to be looking at their incredible versatility. How a word that might describe a physical state, for instance, can also describe a complex psychological or even a political reality. Understanding that range, that's the key, I think, to truly internalizing the language.
Yeah, I find that shift, from just the definition to the actual application, incredibly compelling. It really is like turning a dictionary entry into a versatile toolkit you can use anytime.
Absolutely.
And to help you assimilate these terms quickly, we've grouped them thematically. Makes it a bit easier, hopefully. We're going to start right at the extremes, exploring the language we use to define the very top, the very bottom, and things at the highest consequence. Okay, let's unpack this. Right, starting at the absolute maximum point, the highest peak of anything, which brings us to the word zenith.
Zenith, yeah, it's a beautiful word. Its origin actually is astronomical. It's the point directly overhead in the sky. So it represents the pinnacle, the apex, the summit. When you use zenith, you're not just saying something is high, you're stating that it has reached its absolute maximum potential or height, often just before, maybe, a decline begins.
Right, that makes sense. And the examples here really help crystallize that ultimate state. Like, you think of an athlete achieving the zenith of their career by winning Olympic gold. It's the highest professional achievement possible in that field, really. There's a sort of finality to it, a sense of having truly maxed out their skill set.
Precisely. And historically, you see this used all the time to describe power structures. The text points to the zenith of an empire, that specific moment in history when that civilization controlled the largest territories, wielded maximum influence globally.
Right.
It implies maybe even a fleeting moment of perfection, almost. And if we look at, say, contemporary fame, someone's popularity hitting its zenith after a viral video, that signifies that ultimate momentary peak of exposure. Their visibility just shoots up and then maybe it levels off or drops. That distinction between, physical height and ultimate influence or achievement, that's why zenith is such a powerful, advanced word to have in your vocabulary.
Okay, so from the peak, let's look at terms defining extremes in experience, specifically the regrettable and the intolerable. Let's start with the language of misfortune. Unfortunate.
Unfortunate, yes. It describes something marked by bad luck or something regrettable. But you have to be a bit careful how you apply it.
Yeah.
Like when we describe an event, say, it was unfortunate that the flight was delayed, we're essentially expressing regret over the circumstance. It's a fairly low-key acknowledgement of bad luck, really.
But the word can also shift the focus entirely, right, onto the person affected, like describing someone as the unfortunate victim who lost everything in the fire.
Exactly.
There, the word really emphasizes the enduring misfortune experienced by that individual. It evokes a much stronger sense of pathos, I think, than if you just called the event itself unlucky.
Absolutely. And then there's the use tied to poor judgment, which is, quite interesting. An unfortunate choice leading to complications implies a decision that, in hindsight was regrettable or ill-fated. It's often used with a bit of distance, suggesting perhaps the complications were avoidable if better judgment had been exercised.
Right. Now contrast that kind of low-level regret with insufferable. If unfortunate is maybe a flight delay, insufferable is being trapped on the runway in 120-degree heat.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
This word means too extreme to bear, completely intolerable.
Absolutely. Insufferable conveys an intensity that signifies a boundary has been violated. It's become unendurable. Physically, you might talk about the insufferable heat during a height where the sheer discomfort makes continuing just impossible. It suggests a failure of endurance.
But I'm really interested in its psychological application. To describe insufferable arrogance, That doesn't just mean someone is annoying, does it?
No, not at all.
It means their personality trait is so overbearing, so obnoxious, that it's maddening. It drives other people away.
Precisely. And even environmentally, that high intensity applies. Think about unendurable after-hours noise from neighbors, maybe. It becomes insufferable. When you use this term, you are making a clear statement that the condition is beyond acceptable human tolerance, whether that's physical, psychological, or environmental.
Okay, that distinction between quantity and quality leads us perfectly to the next pair. Huge and momentous. Both imply large, but they seem to define vastly different kinds of weight.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Huge is fundamentally quantitative. It focuses on size or amount. Think vast, enormous, gigantic. The physical size of an elephant is huge.
Right.
A huge crowd is simply a massive gathering of people. Even a huge success usually measures the sheer scale of the victory, maybe in financial return or the number of people reached. It's about physical or measurable volume.
Got it. But momentous then shifts the weight from that quantity to the consequence, the impact. It means of great importance or powerful impact, significant, crucial, pivotal. This word feels more qualitative. The number of people involved might even be small, but the impact reverberates widely.
Exactly. Consider international policy, for example. A leader might approve a huge budget expenditure, which is, a massive financial commitment in terms of numbers. But if that expenditure is used to fund, say, a new international treaty, the signing of that document itself is the momentous event. It describes a pivotal decision or a profound influential change, like a momentous shift in governmental policy that affects generations.
So the weight is in the effect.
Precisely. It's the weight of the effect, the historical significance that defines it, not necessarily the physical dimensions. Mastering this distinction, quantitative largeness versus qualitative impact, is really essential for advanced political and historical discussion, for example.
Okay, so now we shift focus a bit to words that define state, movement, stopping, and the appropriateness of time. We'll start with occupancy and availability, specifically vacant and stationary.
Right. Vacant is about emptiness, describing something not occupied or void. Physically, it's straightforward. We're talking about a vacant seat on a bus or vacant hotel rooms during the off-season. Simple physical availability. But the metaphorical use, that's where the real power often lies, isn't it? Describing someone's expression as a vacant stare.
Yes.
That implies a kind of psychological absence. Even though the person is physically present, their mind seems empty or unresponsive. It suggests a lack of engagement, maybe a lack of thought, an absence of internal activity.
That concept of state connects perfectly to stationary. Stationary describes a state of non-movement or being fixed and immobile, static. A vehicle remaining stationary at a red light signifies a temporary lack of motion.
Okay.
Or think about fixed exercise equipment, like stationary bikes. They're designed specifically to eliminate forward movement while you still exert effort.
Right. And even in, say, observational science, phenomena can appear stationary, like a planet seeming unmoving in the night sky relative to its surroundings, even though we know it's moving. This word emphasizes a fixed, static state, often implying waiting or maybe a deliberate halt.
Okay, so if stationary is a pause, the next pair addresses the ends, or seeming ends, to disappear and adjourn. To disappear, that means ceasing to be visible or to exist. Vanishing, fading, dissolving. This can be quite literal, like a magician's illusion making something disappear, or seeing the stars disappear in the daylight as the sun rises. That's a natural phenomenon.
Right. But abstractly, we talk about concepts or evidence disappearing. If crucial evidence in a case seems to disappear mysteriously, that speaks to a sudden, often unexplained absence of something vital.
Yeah, the implication there is often a sense of loss or even potential foul play, especially in legal contexts.
Exactly. Now, in stark contrast, adjourn is usually not an ending at all. It's a controlled, temporary suspension. It means to postpone or pause until a later, often specified time. This is fundamental to formal proceedings.
Like in court.
Precisely. A court deciding to adjourn until tomorrow means the action stops, but the process isn't finished. It will resume at that later date.
Okay. But we use this more casually too, don't we? We might adjourn a long meeting for lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you might have to suspend an entire session early due to some sudden external event, like a severe storm rolling in. The key difference is the intentional temporary nature of the suspension with adjourn, rather than the perhaps permanent vanishing implied by disappear.
Got it. Okay. Moving from pausing to pressing forward, our next pair focuses on the urgency of action. To grab and priority.
To grab. This word is defined by suddenness and often force, a quick seizure, a snatch, or a grasp. Physically, it's a fast, decisive action. Whether you grab your coat before running out the door.
Or like a thief grabbing a purse and fleeing.
Right, that quick, forceful action. But its power also lies in seizing opportunity. When someone urges you to grab the opportunity to travel, for instance, they're telling you to quickly and forcefully take hold of a chance before it passes you by, before it's gone. It transforms a simple physical movement into a metaphor for decisiveness and readiness.
Right. And what determines which opportunities we grab? Well, that's often about priority, isn't it?
Exactly. Priority is the condition of being most important, or having precedence over other things. When we talk about strategy, setting priority means determining the order of significance. What comes first?
So, if safety is established as the top priority in a workplace, let's say, that dictates that every action, every expense, every decision must somehow serve that goal above others.
Correct. And in a business context, we give priority to urgent tasks, ordering them specifically by their crucial significance. This ensures the most vital needs are addressed first, often meaning lesser items have to wait. It's about ordering importance.
Okay, finally in this section we examine the context of time, early and untimely. Now, both reference time, but their connotations feel dramatically different.
They really are. Early is usually positive or, at worst, neutral. It means before the expected or set time. You know the old saying, the early bird catches the worm. It celebrates promptness. Early retirement means retiring before the expected age, which many people view positively. And crucially, in medicine, an early diagnosis almost always improves outcomes. It speaks to timeliness as a definite benefit.
But untimely, by contrast, almost exclusively carries a negative weight. It focuses on consequence or inappropriateness. It means happening at a deeply unsuitable or inopportune time. The ill-fated nature of the timing is the central point.
It's about bad timing.
Yeah. The most poignant example is probably an untimely death, right? It's a premature loss that feels tragic, precisely because it occurred outside the expected span of life.
Absolutely. That's the classic example. And socially, think about an untimely interruption during a serious speech. It's frowned upon because the timing disrupts the crucial flow of communication. It breaks the focus.
Right.
So the focus shifts entirely from just being prompt, which is early, to being poorly suited for the moment, which is untimely, and that inevitably leads to negative or disruptive results. It's the difference between doing something ahead of schedule and doing something at completely the wrong time.
All right, let's move into the vocabulary of sensory input, art, and the complex world of critical feedback. We begin with one of our most evocative senses, smell, and the word fragrance.
Fragrance. Yes, this word elevates a simple smell to something pleasant, usually sweet a scent, an aroma, an odor, typically positive. It links powerfully to memory and emotion, doesn't it?
It really does. We often talk about the delightful natural fragrance of fresh roses filling a room, connecting it to the natural world.
But it's also a massive industry. Companies choose a specific manufactured fragrance for a product, like a perfume or a cleaning spray, because they want that association. It becomes part of the brand identity.
Yeah, that makes sense. And universally, think about the inviting fragrance wafting from a bakery that draws people in off the street. It shows its practical power as both a lure and maybe a signifier of quality.
Absolutely. Now, from the invisible power of smell to the visible power of painting, this word covers both the act of creation itself and the finished work, the visual portrayal.
Right. So painting allows us to discuss historical significance when we're referring to, say, a masterwork hanging in a museum. It acts as a kind of historical record. It also lets us talk about the technical skill required, like the precise rendering needed for a realistic landscape painting.
True. And beyond technique, painting is frequently described as an act of emotional release. People use the medium, the act of painting, to express complex emotions that maybe they can't articulate verbally.
So it's like a visual language.
Exactly, leveraging color and form as a powerful, nonverbal communicative tool.
Okay. Speaking of communication, let's look now at the spectrum of feedback, starting with the positive, praise.
Praise. This can be a formal or informal expression of approval or admiration. Think acclaim, commendation, applause. Formally, a teacher gives praise for exemplary work submitted by a student. Critically, a new novel might receive high praise from public reviewers, which really elevates its cultural status and encourages sales.
Right. And informally, we might just, sing the praises of a friend's incredible effort on a project, expressing deep, sincere admiration for their commitment. It's about validation, really. Validation of effort or skill.
Yes. Now, when we talk about drawing attention to something, whether it's good or bad, we often use the word Magnify.
Magnify. Okay, so it has that core literal meaning to make something appear larger, like using a magnifying glass or a microscope.
Correct. But its metaphorical use is crucial for sophisticated rhetoric. It means to intensify, exaggerate, or make something seem more important than it perhaps truly is.
Okay, and this often carries a cautionary tone.
It often does, yes. Advising restraint. Don't magnify small problems. That warns against engaging in hyperbole, treating minor inconveniences as if they were major crises.
Right.
However, rhetoricians also use it positively sometimes, attempting to magnify a virtue or successful outcome to sway public opinion or emphasize an achievement. So it can cut both ways.
Okay, now, if something is the opposite of praiseworthy, maybe lacking taste or quality, we might call it cheesy. It's a highly effective, if informal, advanced word for critical feedback.
It really is effective. Cheesy means lacking style or good taste. Think corny, tacky, cliched. It's a high-utility colloquial term, especially useful for criticizing poor aesthetics or maybe excessive sentimentality.
Like movie dialogue that's just too cheesy, because it relies on overly sentimental or predictable emotional tropes.
Exactly that. Or think about gaudy fashion, like a truly cheesy tie worn to a formal event. It just screams poor taste. And critically, we apply it to language as well. People are often advised to avoid cheesy pickup lines because they are cliched phrases, utterly lacking in originality or depth. They signal poor taste to the recipient.
Got it. Okay, now let's transition to structure and reference, specifically looking at refrain and citation.
Right. A refrain is a repeated line, phrase, or verse, often called a chorus or a hook in music. Its function in music is pretty clear. The refrain is usually catchy, memorable, and it often serves as the emotional anchor of the song. It's the part everyone sings along to.
Yeah. And in poetry.
In poetry, the refrain is used structurally to emphasize a central theme or point. It creates rhythm and deepens the emotional resonance through that calculated repetition. It anchors the listener or reader to the core message.
Okay. And citation. This is absolutely critical, isn't it? Particularly in any field requiring academic rigor. It is a reference or quotation.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Its primary use is academic honesty, including a full citation for every source you use to support an argument or claim. It shows where your information came from. Alternatively, we sometimes use it for the quoted passage itself, like including a citation from a famous text to add gravity to your argument. But we must remember its alternative meaning, too, a public recognition or award. For example, someone might receive a citation for bravery or for outstanding service. The unifying concept, though, is acknowledging or referencing something important, whether that's a source of information or an act of merit.
Okay, that makes sense. Finally, in this section, we cover uncertainty and provision. Maybe and instructions.
Maybe. This expresses possibility or uncertainty, think, perhaps, possibly, conceivably. Its conditional nature is key. Maybe we'll go to the park if the weather improves. It sets up a potential future action that depends on a specific condition.
Right. It can also subtly express doubt or future potential, can't it? Like, maybe next time we should plan ahead more carefully.
Exactly. It leaves things open. Now, instructions provide the path forward, dealing more with certainty and provision. These are detailed guidelines or directives designed to remove ambiguity.
Like relying on the clear instructions the teacher provided for a complex assignment, ensuring everyone follows the same procedure.
Precisely. They are essential for step-by-step guidance, whether they are assembly instructions for putting together furniture or operational directives in a complex work environment. They aim to transform uncertainty into a defined manual for necessary action.
Okay, this next section delves into how we interact. We're focusing on assistance, the spectrum of negative behavior, and the language of conflict. We start with support, aid.
Aid. Simply put, it's help or assistance given support, relief, often provided in times of crisis or need. We see it on a large global scale with international assistance, like foreign aid helping rebuild a disaster-struck area, offering financial or material support.
And it also refers to informational support, doesn't it? Like using visual aids during a presentation to help the audience grasp complex data or ideas more quickly.
Yes, that's another common use. And universally, immediate medical help is categorized as first aid, given in emergencies. So it really covers essential assistance across financial, informational, and physical domains.
Got it. Now let's look at that spectrum of negative behavior. Bad, naughty, and antagonize. Bad is the most general, but its usage can be quite precise sometimes. It refers to poor quality or a negative influence.
Right. Bad weather describes unfavorable conditions that actively hinder activity. Critically, someone can be described as a bad influence on their friends, implying a negative, perhaps corrupting impact on the behavior or values of others.
Yeah.
And for advanced speakers, you should also consider its use in legal and ethical terms, like referring to someone as a bad actor or saying they acted in bad faith, which implies intentional deception or malice.
Okay. And we also use that agricultural metaphor. The bad apple spoiled the bunch.
Exactly, meaning a single corruptive element negatively affected the integrity of the whole group.
Now, naughty feels significantly softer, usually reserved for minor transgressions or maybe childish misbehavior, disobedient or mischievous. It seems to imply an impish quality rather than deep moral corruption.
That's a good description. Examples include a naughty child who drew on the walls, annoying, yes, but not truly evil. Or think of a playful, naughty grin that gives away a minor prank someone just pulled.
Right.
It's often used in lighthearted or even endearing ways, and it rarely carries the gravity of genuine bad conduct. It's typically used when the consequences of the misbehavior are pretty minimal.
Okay. Now, stepping far up the intensity scale from naughty, we arrive at antagonize. This feels like active hostility to provoke or cause opposition intentionally.
Yes, this is a high-level word, often used in contexts of structured conflict or diplomacy. You might be advised, for instance, not to antagonize your opponents in a formal debate. Meaning you should avoid deliberately creating enmity or provoking them unnecessarily, which could just escalate the conflict beyond the actual topic being debated.
Right. It also applies to public reaction. A speaker's controversial comments might antagonize the crowd, inciting anger and active opposition.
Absolutely. And diplomatically, government policies that antagonize allies can severely damage international relations. It describes an action that deliberately, or sometimes carelessly, engineers hostility.
Okay. Next, we look at illegal acts and a resulting social consequence. Housebreaking and mistrust.
Right. Housebreaking is quite specific. Illegally entering a building, usually someone's home, a dwelling, with the intent to commit theft. It's often used synonymously with burglary.
Okay. So using this word immediately places the action within the realm of serious criminal activity and likely legal charges.
Correct. And the discussion points out that visible prevention measures, like installing alarm systems, are thought to actively deter housebreaking. This highlights the specific vulnerability that the term addresses: breaking into a house.
Mm-hmm. And this kind of activity, whether it's criminal acts like housebreaking or perhaps betrayals in diplomacy, can severely contribute to mistrust in society.
Indeed. Mistrust signifies a lack of confidence or deep suspicion, distrust, wariness. It's often a systemic lack of faith, not just a one-off doubt.
You see this on a grand scale in geopolitical tensions, right? Often fueled by profound mistrust between nations that struggle to believe each other's stated intentions.
Absolutely. Personally, you might approach an unexpected, overly generous offer with mistrust if you are skeptical about the motives behind it.
Yeah. Seems too good to be true.
Exactly. And historically, a series of past betrayals often breeds systemic mistrust within a community or between groups, showing how suspicion can actually be a rational response based on prior negative experiences.
All right, our final grouping focuses on words that emphasize exactitude and the defining of boundaries or concepts. We start with the demand for a perfect match. Exactly.
Exactly. This means in a precise manner, without any discrepancy. You use this when high fidelity, a perfect match, is essential. For instance, confirming that a manufactured copy was exactly like the original blueprint.
Right. Or it's crucial in scheduling. To demand that guests arrive exactly at 5 p.m. emphasizes strict adherence to the time, allowing no margin for error. No around 5, but exactly 5.
Precisely. And its conversational use is very common, too, to confirm absolute agreement. That's exactly what I meant. It demonstrates that the other speaker has spot-on comprehension of your intention. It aims to remove all possibility of misinterpretation.
Okay. Next, we define voids with the simple yet foundational word, hole.
A hole. Yes, it's a literal opening, a gap, or a void, a breach in a surface, like a hole in the fence allowing passage. But the most significant application for advanced learners is often the metaphorical one.
Like talking about filling the hole in your knowledge.
Exactly. We use the word to signify a crucial deficiency or gap in understanding that needs to be remedied. Similarly, a budget deficit might be described as a financial hole that needs filling. It speaks to a need for completion or repair.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's very specific target use in sports, like a golf ball going into the hole where it defines the single precise objective of that part of the game.
Right. Our final word today describes a solemn marker of history and remembrance. Gravestone.
Yes, a gravestone. It's the stone marker placed at a grave, also called a headstone or tombstone. Its primary function is as a memorial, usually bearing crucial life details like names, dates of birth, and death. It anchors the memory of the individual in a physical place.
It functions as a specific site for remembrance, doesn't it? Providing a fixed physical place for visitors to come and honor the departed?
It does, but it also serves as a critical historical record, which is fascinating. Old gravestones in cemeteries can tell detailed stories of history, lineage, common causes of death, even migration patterns. They provide tangible data points from the past for historians and genealogists.
That's a really interesting point. Hashtag tag outro.
So to sort of synthesize this deep dive, just reflect on the depth we've uncovered today. Advanced communication really relies on selecting the most fitting word from a powerful array of options. Notice how much more detailed and insightful your analysis can become when you combine words effectively. For instance, describing someone reaching the zenith of their power only to face an untimely downfall. Or recognizing a momentous shift in public policy while also acknowledging how it might breed persistent mistrust among certain groups. That kind of nuance, that's the true measure of mastery, I think.
Yeah, that is the essential takeaway, isn't it? Vocabulary is really only power when it's understood and applied correctly. So what stands out to you, the listener? Here's a little challenge. I encourage you to take one bad word we discussed, maybe something like antagonize, and one momentous word like zenith, and try combining them into a single complex sentence. Just play with it. It reinforces the idea that vocabulary is most effective when you understand it and can apply it across different contexts, whether they're physical or abstract.
Absolutely. Test these terms out. Look for them when you're reading high-level articles or listening to sophisticated speakers. And most importantly, start weaving them into your own speaking and writing right away. That's how you truly elevate your communication.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into advanced vocabulary. We really hope you found these insights helpful for your English learning journey. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more vocabulary practice and linguistic explorations like this one. We'll catch you next time.